This is 19-year-old Shade Robinson, who was just 1 month from graduating college and preparing to join the Air Force when she went on a first date with a man she had only recently met. By the next morning, investigators were standing on the shoreline of Lake Michigan after human remains had been discovered near Warnemont Park.
If it's up on the hill, like I said, the waves aren't going that high. That's somebody killed and dumped over.
Let's clear the air, make sure there's not the rest of her up there. That's gnarly, bro. Yeah. Did you find one before? Or just a bone? Ah, shit.
I mean, this is well preserved. That's what I was saying. Like, it looks like doesn't look that old.
What they uncovered would lead them to a house filled with hidden restraints and violent writings, and the man behind it had been planning something long before Shade ever walked through his door. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, April 2nd, 2023. In the early hours of the morning, 2 men walking below the wooded bluffs of Warnemont Park noticed something lying along the shoreline.
That's gnarly, bro. Or just a bone. Ah, shit.
It just on the lake there.
You follow what down there?
A lake, human lake.
They call 911 immediately. Officers arrive within minutes and quickly realize the remains had not washed ashore naturally. They had been placed there recently.
We're about to sign by the golf course.
Okay. What's going on there?
No, we just on the lake there. It's on the lake, down by the lake on the clay.
You follow what down there?
A lake, human lake.
Investigators begin securing the area, believing whoever left them there may have only recently walked away. 10 miles from Warnemont Park, officers are already responding to another call involving a missing 19-year-old named Shade Robinson, who had not returned home after a date the night before. Shade was a criminal justice student just 1 month from graduation and was preparing to join the Air Force. Friends and co-workers describe her as dependable and routine-oriented, which is why concern grows quickly when she fails to appear for her shift at the pizza restaurant where she worked. Officers go to her apartment for a welfare check, but the visit only deepens the concern surrounding her disappearance.
Miss Robinson! Milwaukee Police, please answer the door! We're gonna come in otherwise! I don't hear anything.
Nobody's seen her since the date.
As detectives begin piecing together Shade's final movements, they discover that she shared her live location with her sister through the Life 3 and 60 app, giving investigators a detailed timeline of where she had gone that night. The records show that on the evening of April 1st, Shade met 33-year-old Maxwell Anderson for a first date after the two had met days earlier at the bar where he worked. They began the evening at the Twisted Fisherman, a restaurant along the Menominee River, before later moving to another nearby bar. Security footage captures Shade arriving for the date and spending the evening with Maxwell, who investigators would soon begin examining far more closely. While detectives use surveillance footage and Life 3 and 60 data to map out Shade's final movements, another team begins looking into Maxwell Anderson's background. What they find immediately raises concern. Maxwell has prior convictions for battery, assault, and domestic abuse. Investigators also uncovered a recent complaint from a woman who alleged that Maxwell had drugged her during a date and pressured her to leave with him after she became seriously ill. No charges had been filed. Meanwhile, surveillance footage continues filling in the timeline from the night Shade disappeared. Cameras show Shade and Maxwell leaving the Twisted Fisherman and going to a nearby sports bar where they spend several hours with another couple. Around 9:00 p.m., Shade leaves the bar with Maxwell and gets into his car. The two arrive at his home on Milwaukee's south side shortly after 9:25 p.m., where a doorbell camera records them entering the house together. Hours later, just before midnight, another camera captures a single person leaving the home in Shade's Honda Civic and driving away alone. At first, investigators believe the driver may be Shade herself, but that assumption soon begins to change. Before detectives can search Maxwell's home, they first need a warrant. While waiting, they begin speaking with neighbors and people familiar with him. Several neighbors describe Maxwell as someone frequently working on unusual projects around the property, with ongoing construction and changes that never seemed fully explained. Detectives also spoke with Maxwell's tenant, Pete Warbington, who rented the middle floor of the home and had spent enough time there to notice a consistent pattern of strange activity.
Is there anything out of place or weird that you find down in the basement?
I just thought it was always a dirty guy, you know. When I go down there in the basement, the only thing that's really out of place, you know, he's got a bunch of tools and stuff everywhere, a bunch of paint everywhere, but it's always been that way.
Okay.
I didn't really notice anything in the basement since then that would be considered odd. I just thought he was an odd dude.
The following day, detectives are contacted by Maxwell's former girlfriend, who provides information that immediately shifts the direction of the investigation.
There's just one thing that I thought was really odd. So on Instagram, March 28th, he sent me this video.
3 days before Shade Robinson disappeared, Maxwell had sent her a video over Instagram taken from a news report involving a violent case. It arrived without explanation, at the time giving her no clear reason to interpret it in any particular way.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. That's pretty fucking weird.
What did you say to it? He said, please be careful out there. Because he was upset I was dating other people. And I said, that's fucked. And I didn't want to talk about it. He's like, yeah, sad. I'll leave you alone now, starting now.
But now, sitting across from detectives, that moment is being reassessed entirely. That was 3 days before Shade's date, and it would not be the last time Maxwell's own actions would come back into focus. On April 12th, 2 days after Shade Robinson's disappearance, detectives arrive at Maxwell's home with a search warrant. Another unit begins tracking his movements during the search. Before they can proceed, Maxwell turns back toward the house, prompting officers to intercept him just 2 blocks away.
32 headed southbound Hampton on, 45 southbound Hampton on for a pothole return for highway.
Any weapons on you, sir?
No.
Head eye, stop. No.
What's going on?
There's somebody just radio it.
124 dispatch.
Stop. Want to know what's one up? The keys to in the ignition?
Yes.
124,
yeah, one in custody.
He remains calm in the back of the patrol car, which unsettles the officers watching him. He does not panic and requests a lawyer upon arrival at the Milwaukee police station, refusing to speak with investigators further. But his silence does not halt the search already underway inside his home. What detectives uncover there will become one of the most disturbing scenes of their careers. Inside the home, detectives find an overwhelming amount of weapons, including machetes, axes, and dozens of knives throughout the kitchen and other rooms. In the basement, they also discover a concealed space containing restraints and other suspicious items, along with personal belongings and written material linked to other women. Despite how disturbing the scene is, none of it directly connects Maxwell to Shade. With no forensic link to the crime, detectives return to the footage to continue the investigation. Shade's car is driven away from Warnemont Park and later found burned on an abandoned property, though the license plate and several personal belongings inside remain intact. The question of who drove it lingers until investigators review surveillance footage from the area. While the evidence is significant, it is not yet enough on its own. Without a confirmed crime scene link, prosecutors continue building the case as forensic analysis of Maxwell's phone is completed. In the early hours of April 2nd, Maxwell Anderson took a series of photographs inside his home and later deleted them. Forensic technicians were able to recover them. The images show Shade Robinson inside the house, unresponsive on a couch, with additional photos taken afterward in different positions. A television is also visible in the background during part of the sequence. From this, investigators reconstruct the sequence of events. Shade is brought to the home, incapacitated, and later removed in her own vehicle. The car is driven to Warnemont Park and later set on fire before Maxwell returns on foot and takes a bus back. The entire sequence unfolds within a single night, forming the central timeline of the case. In the days and weeks following Maxwell's arrest, more of Shade's remains are found along the Lake Michigan shoreline and as far away as a beach in Waukegan, Illinois. All of them are identified as belonging to her. Before the trial begins, Maxwell makes clear he will not be accepting any plea.
I would like to start by saying that from the bottom of my heart, my deepest and most sincere condolences go out to Sade's family, as well as everyone else affected by this tragedy. That being said, Your Honor, I took this to trial without ever once trying to make a plea deal of any kind, because I did not commit these crimes. And so I plan to appeal my convictions while I hope and pray that further investigations not only prove my innocence, but find and deliver true justice.
He sits through the testimony of neighbors, friends, a former girlfriend, and forensic experts. He listens as the evidence from his phone is described to the jury. He listens as the details of his basement are read aloud in a courtroom. And still, he maintains that he did not do this. The jury does not agree.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Maxwell Anderson, guilty of first-degree intentional homicide as charged in count 1 of the information. As to count 2, we, the jury, find the defendant, Maxwell Anderson, guilty of mutilating a corpse as charged in count 2 of the information. As to count 3, we, the jury, find the defendant, Maxwell Anderson, guilty of arson of property other than a building as charged in count 3 of the information. As to count 4, we, the jury, find the defendant, Maxwell Anderson, guilty of hiding a corpse as charged in count 4 of the information.
In September 2024, a mural was painted near the pizza restaurant where Shade Robinson once worked, honoring her memory. She was 1 month from graduating from college and preparing to join the Air Force. Friends describe her as consistent, focused, and dependable in everything she does. Her future was already taking shape, until it was cut short.